Hello everyone, welcome back to our Interesting People series with me, Tina Calder from Excalibur Press and the Content Club. Today I'm joined by the very lovely Emma Warmington of Jivani Yoga. And to give you a little bit of information about Emma is known as a transformational voice work guide and yoga teacher trainer. And she specialises in helping people live an authentic and liberated life. But what does that actually mean, Emma? It sounds awesome, but what does it mean?
What does it mean? Oh my God. I suppose transformational voice work is something that I'm so passionate about. I have come from really, horrific sort of stage fright, and I didn't follow a big passion in my life. Actually, I wanted to be an actor, but I couldn't admit that that's what I wanted to be. So instead I worked in behind the scenes or things like that, or I didn't have clear boundaries around relationships, so I ended up in shoddy relationships, or I didn't know how to say no, to work. I had 52 jobs before I became a yoga teacher. I was unable to express myself in a clear way. I wasn't compassionate really with myself. I had a temper. I own Jivani Yoga, which trains yoga teachers, basically people who have been practicing yoga for a while, a year or 2 years, and who are curious into going deeper than you would get than you have time to do in a sort of classes or studios or in a home practice. And through that journey, I took my own first yoga teacher training in Thailand in 2006. I went back the next year to assist. I went back the next year to assist. I went back for a third year to assist again, and I joined the faculty. I started to teach. I was so terrified. I really wanted to sing and lead kirtan. It's this a form of yoga with singing, and I love it. It's absolutely the path to bliss. And I wanted to lead a kirtan, and I couldn't even say the words to one of my close friends. I want to lead a kirtan. Wow. It was so stuck in me.
So you wanted to be an actress, but couldn't tell anyone. You wanted to sing, but couldn't tell anyone. So there must have been some form of a performance want or need in you.
Some sort of self-expression need. Yeah, absolutely.
And you finally found it with the yoga teaching then?
I found it with the yoga teaching, absolutely. I didn't. I had very low self-esteem whenever I was a youngster. Even as a child, I had quite low self-esteem, and then as a teenager, very much so. When I started travelling when I was really young, when I was 17, and I ended up travelling for 20 odd years, and I was introduced with my time in Asia. I was about 10 years in Asia, and in my time through these yoga communities and being immersed in 3-month-long or month-long teacher training programs that I would assist an apprentice and work on before I ended up doing my own, I got introduced to so many tools for healing and for transformation and for cultivating self-awareness and self-compassion and learning how to articulate myself. And also, a real key thing is recognizing limiting beliefs. So first of all, identifying what they are. For example, I could never go and make a podcast with Tina Calder, right? That might be one limiting belief. Yeah. So then identifying that and saying, well, hold on a minute, where does that come from? And sort of reverse engineering from the I can't do this to figure out, when did that go in?
Yeah.
Because when
was that programmed into me?
Yeah. Because when I was a child, I was all singing, all dancing, and tap dancing and ballet dancing and doing shows in the opera house. I was really that, and then puberty hit, and with that came just an enormous amount of coolness that I couldn't jeopardize by participating in these things,
right,
something like that.
I'm so far into the in crowd that you couldn't possibly do these other things.
And that's a joke because I've never even been in the in crowd, but it just happened. I just had very low self-esteem. But so I went and immersed myself in this sort of, let's call it yoga land, or the land of personal development and of personal transformation. And I was introduced to EFT and somatic experiencing and TRE and women's workshops and the power of interpersonal circle work and psychology and all these things that fed my soul in ways that nothing else had ever done. And I just went after it. I prioritized training, participation, teaching, apprenticing, learning. I mean, over everything else in my life. Like, I didn't own a sofa until I was 38 years old. You know, and I have had a really amazing life. I've been travelling all around the world, but I definitely prioritised experiences, learning and training over anything else. And over the course of this time, it's 13 years now that I've been teaching, and 9 years of that. Since 9 years, I haven't done any other work except I've been supporting myself through this and creating this business and growing this school. So I have, over this time, I have changed from being very defensive, intolerant, opinionated, which I used to think was a good thing. I no longer value being opinionated. I prefer being curious.
Okay.
And I'm really curious about people. So this opinionated defense, I had a wild temper. I really was a functioning alcoholic, and I know that's very common, especially coming from Northern Ireland. And I'd lived in London for a few years, and it was also very common there. You know, this sort of level of functional alcoholism where I was either drunk or hungover for years. You know.
See, for me, when someone says, "Oh, this is Emma's a yoga teacher," in my head, I see the yoga mat. And the spandex and you know and this very, very thin, bendy socialite.
Yes.
And tutoring off to the gym with the yoga mat under the arm and stuff. But
I know
it really isn't what it's all about, is it? Because the more and more I have spoken to you, I remember the first time I heard you talking about it, and I knew instantly you were up talking in the front of a room, and I knew instantly at that point, this isn't yoga as I thought yoga was. Because I tried yoga once, got a really bad sore head, fell asleep during the meditation. Just everything just went wrong. I wasn't bendy enough. I couldn't do half the moves. It was just from start to finish, it was a disaster. So my thing was, you had to be skinny and fit and bendy and look good in the spandex. Right. That's very important. You're going to bend over a lot, you know.
I know. And there it is. You know, that's the big misconception, and it's easy to understand why people think that, because if you were to put, you know, you look up anything related to yoga on Instagram or something like that, you'll see primarily what you're going to see is skinny white women.
Yes,
that's what you're
doing these poses that the human body probably shouldn't be able to do so easily.
Well, some of the things
in my mind, anyway.
Some of the things, it's like, what are the actual benefits of doing that? I mean, I get that there are benefits from a dedicated physical practice. The real key is that we talk in yoga about sadhana. And sadhana being practiced, but it means that which you can do. Okay. So yoga asana or hatha yoga, it must be adapted to individuals. It can be adapted to everybody, and I mean everybody. Yeah. I mean if you can breathe by yourself, you can do yoga. Wow. That's what I mean.
And that's not the vision that most people have in their heads, because when somebody says yoga and you think, oh, I'm a bit too big, or I've got a jammy knee, or, oh God, my back would never be able to do that. Or, there's just so many different reasons why not.
And there's very likely when we see the photos on Instagram and stuff like that of these very fancy things, with somebody's got their leg up behind them and their foot in their head. this, it's a bit of a shame really, because I didn't clock this until I'd probably been doing yoga for 10 years. I practiced for 6 years before I became a teacher, but I probably practiced another 4 years beyond that before I realised that the proportions of my body, I have a very long back and short legs, the proportions of my body are such that there are certain things that I will never be able to do. It's that simple, ever. Yeah. And I hurt myself trying to do a lot of these things.
Oh, so in your head at that time it was like, well, no, if somebody else can do it, then I must be able to, and it's just a case of pushing myself.
I think, it sounds simplified, but yeah, I think so. When I the first sort of bunch of years that I was teaching, and I study all the time. I'm still studying. I'm never done. I'm always learning. I just thrive on new knowledge and cultivating wisdom for myself. It was never mentioned, oh, by the way, this isn't sustainable. Mm-hmm. So, really, and I was out with at that point, these were the best teachers in the world. I was spending thousands and thousands of pounds. But actually, it was never mentioned, this is not sustainable. It was given to me, and what I saw all around me was, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, and you'll get there, and you'll get there, and you get there. And then, it's not the case. It's not the case. I'll say that as a
It
definite.
was the dog head down beat me. And it was only I'd only tried it 2 or 3 times, got a splitting headache, and that was it. I was like, that's me out.
No, we can adapt, and I'm sort of the belief that whatever gets people moving is a good thing. There's a very prominent trauma specialist, a man called Bessel van der Kolk, and he's written a book called The Body Keeps the Score. He talked about, he was here in Belfast actually last year at the Trauma Summit, and I went and listened to him speak, and he said that there was 3 different studies that he'd been involved in where they compared the effects of yoga practice against that of antidepressants in helping depression.
Wow. And
that yoga was found to be as useful, and indeed sometimes more useful. So at the time I was there going, what type of yoga is it? Is the breath involved? Just being kind of ridiculous about it. It doesn't matter. The point is moving.
Yes.
The point is to be moving. One of the sort of aspects of trauma is a freeze response, or a dissociated response. We kind of we're out of our bodies, or if your body is in pain, if you're suffering in the body, it's to get out of the body is like an escape. It's like we almost want to reject in a way our own body in order to just escape the suffering. And I went through a good 3 years of really bad back pain myself, so I understand. And yoga asana can be adapted for anybody. I literally mean if you are unable to move your arms and legs, that you can still do yoga, because yoga is breath.
Okay. It's
breath, and it's pauses between the breath, and it's getting to a level of connection with your breath. And then, as a wee side nugget, if you take this on, with that which is breathing you, because are you breathing?
Yeah.
Or are you being breathed? Try holding your breath. You'll see what happens. You'll pass out, and your body your autonomic breathing response will come in all by itself. So when the teacher at the moment, really now for the last few, I used to teach very fancy asana. I used to be known for teaching all manner of fancy things. And
does that mean like fancy poses
arm
combined
balances,
with other stuff?
Yeah.
I'm actually doing some actions which you can't see on the podcast.
Yeah. For me,
none of which are yoga like, I must add.
It would have been arm balances, handstands, multiple back bends, just fancy things to really push the body.
Yeah.
Now, I loved that stuff in my 20s, and I loved it in my 30s. I'm 45 this year. It's no longer suitable for my body, and for me there was a period of overlap between it was no longer suitable for me and between I stopped, and in that period that overlapped I hurt myself, you know, a lot. And I woke up, I really woke up to this is